Hi, I'm Natasha LaGrone, host of Tea with Tasha, where we celebrate and highlight trailblazers, entrepreneurs, and artists. Today I have with me Carissa Joy Smith. Carissa serves as the Vice President of Fox Corporation for Government Relations. Just recently, she served President Joseph R. Biden as Senior Advisor of Public Engagement for Women and Girls and Health at the White House. Carissa has navigated many diverse spaces with confidence, bravery, integrity, and much grace. From pageants to campaigns, from the White House to Hollywood, she blazes a trail for others and leaves her mark wherever she goes. Now, as one of the youngest executives for the Fox Corporation, Carissa is currently setting ablaze a new trail. Welcome to Tea with Tasha. Carissa.
Hello, Natasha. I'm so happy to be here.
I'm so happy to have you. First of all, this is one of my friends, one of my prayer partners, one of my collaborators, and I'm blessed to have her on the show. This show is definitely dedicated to being able to pour into and inspire others. And Carissa has done so much in her journey. I'm proud of her, and I know the world is proud of her. So I just want to share her with a new audience so they can be just as encouraged as many have been from DC to Hollywood and also in New Jersey, okay? And wherever Carissa's feet have gone. So Carissa, just a few questions to start off. You are one of the youngest executives currently at the Fox Corporation. What prepared you for this role?
I think honestly, firstly, thank you for having me, Miss Natasha. It's such an honor to be here on Tea with Tasha. I'm so excited to be here. The joy is just beaming out.
Yes.
And thank you. I got my tea ready,
Yes,
which is
cheers.
cheers. So I would say what has prepared me for my role, I think, overall has just been a deep understanding of who I am, but particularly where my identity lies. And so I think for any title or any role that I've been in, knowing who I was in Christ, knowing who Christ has made me to be uniquely and wonderfully made, has honestly prepared me for this role and any role to come beyond this too.
Beautiful, beautiful. And you also always are so vocal about your faith. Were you always that comfortable talking about your faith in every sphere you've been in?
I believe so. Like, I think I always had a little bit of that, if there was an organ in me, organ was always
an organ.
Yeah, I feel like I always had to dun, 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 dun. So I think I was always, had that organ spirit. Let's just put it that way.
You.
But yes, I feel like my whole life I've been very, very vocal about my faith. I've been very, very honest about who the Lord is in my life and who he continues to be in my life. And so I've always used faith as my banner. It has always been my banner to carry me from the White House, to carry me to the executive level, to carry me even from, even being, I would say, entry level. So faith has always just been there to keep me grounded and knowing who I was throughout any role or position I was promoted or transitioned to.
Beautiful. To be executive before the age of 30 is no easy feat. How have you navigated these spaces with such wisdom and confidence?
That's a great question. I think I really have navigated this space, quite frankly, as I highlighted, number one, with faith, but I also want to say faith and accountability. I think that in life, you are only promoted to the level in which you are accountable for where you need refinement and where you can also go to that next level. And I think for me, it has been a combination of things, faith and accountability. There have been times where I think the preparation was in the mistakes, or the preparation was if I didn't necessarily hit the mark. And I also just realized how it taught me a lesson to how I can progress forward and how I can rise to the occasion past those mistakes or past the moments where I necessarily didn't hit the mark.
Carissa, that is one thing I really admire about you. I feel like you move through spaces with such grace, and you also give yourself a lot of grace.
Yeah.
How did this happen? Because most things kind of can knock people off kilter, or like kind of make their self-esteem kind of plummet. But I feel like you continue to rise.
Yeah, I think, quite frankly, I definitely think it's the strength and the grace of the Lord that helps me to arise each day. But I also just think a big piece of it is the point of the grace and knowing that of like, you know what, I've actually never been in this role before.
Right.
I've never stepped a foot in this place before.
Okay.
So why would I condemn myself to a place where I've never been before? Life is all about walking it out. It's about dancing it out. It's about stepping it out.
Okay.
It's about trying it out. And also, when you have the mindset of abundance, you have choices.
Yes.
You know, and so you have a choice to progress forward. You have a choice to transition forward. You have a choice to move forward and to elevate and to rise. Or I could sit there and choose what exactly, quite frankly, is right in front of me, or I can choose to believe what I have yet to see and what has yet to come.
I love that. You've been civically engaged and involved for quite some time. Where does that passion come from, especially for organizing?
Yes, so I really think some of it just starts off with my identity. You know, I'm a very proud Platano and collard green sister.
Okay.
And so I just think, you know, for me, growing up where I grew up, knowing the community that I was a part of, you know, I wanted to be involved, quite frankly, in the governance and the systems that, quite frankly, honestly help us matriculate into livelihood, right? And so I wanted to be connected to the process to just understand exactly how our communities can thrive, how every community can thrive, and what exactly that looks like, but particularly for Black and brown girls everywhere.
I love that. I love that you're such an advocate for women, children, and girls, and also your friends. Like, I mean, Carissa, you have been in so many rooms, but I also know you have opened so many doors. What's your philosophy on that?
It's so funny because I was thinking about this, and I just think life is all about sponsors. And what does that really mean? And there's a difference between a sponsor and there's a difference between kind of a donor. A donor is kind of transactional. A sponsor is someone who really focuses on your trajectory, someone who really speaks to you, engages with you, and quite literally sponsors you or provides a sponsorship for you to elevate and to ascend. And so I think for me, I've been blessed to have sponsors, like sponsors from early in my career that keep up with me, early in my career to check in on me. And I always wanted to, quite frankly, return the favor to people who saw me when I was on my, you know, elevation or making my climb. And I also just think sponsorship is really going, quite frankly, sponsorship is also doing the work essentially to make sure that that person is supported behind their back, not just when they see you. So it's like, okay, am I going to back, you know, for this person when they're not in the room? Am I advocating for them when they're not there? Am I making sure that they're set up and that people also know that, you know, who they are and how well they should be treated? That to me is like true sponsorship, where you essentially personalize your support, but also that you're personally engaged and interconnected with them.
That's beautiful. And I mean, sometimes we can live in a limited mindset or a scarcity mindset when it comes to opportunities, when it comes to elevation. How is it that you're able to know that it's enough room for me at the table? It's enough room for me to bring my girl to the table. And also, like the stranger I just met last week, you know, I want to check in. You know, every time I talk to you, you are speaking highly of someone, encouraging someone, bringing someone along. How do you have the capacity for that?
I think the Lord has just made me have this capacity, which I'm grateful for. And it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing.
Beautiful.
It's a beautiful thing. And I'm so grateful that he continues to, quite frankly, blow my mind with the capacity expansion. I think for me, okay, so to answer your question, I think for me, it is just, I think for me, it's just really knowing what the Lord has created us to do, and that is to love.
Yes.
And when you use love as your guiding light, when you use love as kind of your guiding banner, and to know that we are just called to love, it does give you the extra capacity and that expansion to love all and to really love all thoroughly is what I'm trying to say. And so I think for me, that's been my biggest thing, is using love to have that added capacity, to use love to have that greater expansion, to use love to advocate for others, because that's what's going to sustain. That's what's going to elevate not just myself, but to elevate all of us. I want to be in the room with folks. I don't want to be in the room by myself.
There you go.
That's not a good party.
There you go. There you go. And I mean, I've been fortunate to, you know, experience parties and receptions with you, and just the love that you do lead with. I think you do a wonderful job of making people feel loved and feel seen and feel cared for. And I just think it's a beautiful thing to witness. And I also just want you to offer any advice of how someone that may not be as outgoing but wants to foster strong relationships personally or professionally, how they can begin to do that. Like, what are some practices that are kind of commonplace for you?
So the cultivation of a relationship is really personalizing it. And I am a person, when I meet them, I really listen so I can understand. I listen so I can hear necessarily what they're saying and what they're not saying, but also to just know about them. I think it's just so important to get to know a person's background, to get to know a person's foundation, so you can also show up and better love and support them in the way that is needed and the way that will be most helpful for them. And I think for me, that's the biggest thing is, don't do a kind of rinse and repeat approach to kind of your cultivation of relationships, because if it's just transactional, it's just transactional. But my thing is, you want to sow good seeds to where it lasts as a lifetime, to where it lasts as a generation, where they know that, okay, we have an actual partnership. We have an actual cultivated relationship. We are locked in. We are sisters. We are brothers. We are mother and daughter, like all of those things. So I think for me, that to me is kind of my tips or my approach to it, is just making sure. And I've had to stop myself of like, am I really listening to this person, or am I just going through the motion? Am I transactionally responding? And I've had to go back and be like, wait, what exactly did you say? And I know the times where I'm really engaged and the times I'm not. We all do. When you're really listening or you're just checking the box.
Exactly. And I think it's just so beautiful, because I feel like you foster community everywhere you go. From DC to LA, you are building, but still, like, you go to a space and like, hey, that's my girl from Jersey. I used to work with them on the campaign. And I just think that's so important. I feel like you've done a beautiful job being very authentic in the places you go, from your fashion to your hair to how you dance and smile in a room. Like, speak to that. Have you always been that way? And how has that unlocked doors for you, being able to navigate so many spaces?
Yeah, I think I've just authentically been me. And I think I've just been blessed with parents that let me authentically be me.
Yes. Quirks and all.
Yes, like they have just let me, honestly, I don't think there was ever anything I got really told no about, if that makes sense.
Yes.
And I think my parents just let me, quite frankly, freely be me. Like, they were very accepting of me. And I just think that, again, it was rooted in love. Like, they loved me authentically. They didn't make me feel, less than, or like something was odd about me. They just cultivated me in love to make me feel as confident as I am, to be as authentic as I am. And I think, again, that's just rooted in what I led with, of knowing your identity in Christ. And we are all wonderfully and uniquely made. And knowing that there is no competition, knowing that there isn't a lack of opportunities, knowing that we don't have to have a scarcity mindset, or what you have on your plate doesn't take away what's on my plate.
Exactly.
That for me has just been the leading thing for me, because truly there is only one door for you. There's only one door for me. And I think that actually allows for all of us to get together and then realize, oh my gosh, we can open each of these different doors for one another.
For sure. And that's the question I also have, because I feel like it's trending a little more, the conversations around collaboration, around partnership, especially being in LA. I'm an actress, I'm a host. So there's nothing anyone can do alone, but especially when you are in some of these spaces that require you to be collaborative. In order to have a show, I need a guest, I need a tech, I need cameras, I need somebody waiting in the wings to greet people. So many roles people play within each other's dreams and journeys. But at times I think that we can feel like, I'm so busy trying to build my career, trying to build my life, I don't have time for anyone else. How have you been able to navigate how much time you do have for others? Has it been a healthy exchange? Do you ever have to limit or say no? Or I think there's a flow you could teach people of like how to continue to build, be present, but be effective in your roles.
I think for the most part, some of it has to start with the foundation of knowing yourself. So because I know myself, I think I'm able to, quite frankly, align and collaborate and partner with, quite frankly, I would say all people. I don't ever feel like there's a space that I can't really partner with, because I know who I am and what I bring to that space. So regardless of who's in the room, I know when I enter the room that there's going to be a spirit of community. There's going to be a spirit of collaborativeness. There's going to be a spirit of partnership. And so I think for me, it's knowing yourself first, to then, once you do the inside job, you can then do the outside job. And I think that for me has been my guiding light of like, okay, Carissa, like, who exactly are you? And I think, quite frankly, the pandemic had me reassess that. And I think it had a lot of us just sit with ourselves like, who am I? What do I like to do? Okay, I don't have to be like at all these work events. I don't have to be here. I don't have to be there. I'm just sitting with Carissa Joy Smith. So I think for me, that has kind of been essentially my approach to it, is really focusing on myself first and then realizing who I was. And then what exactly have I been blessed with as far as gifts, talents, and resources, and what exactly needs to be shared, right? Because that's what it's for. I would hate to leave this earth and not use all that God has blessed me with others, not taking the time to reach back or sow into others, because that's what it's about. It's like, yes, I worked at the White House, but it wasn't about me staying at the White House. But it's like when I see these other young women who I know, that I personally know, and I personally have advocated for, I personally recommended, or I personally made a call on their behalf. Yes. That's what it's about. It makes me happy to see them growing. It makes me happy to see their promotion. It makes me happy to see them, standing at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
Beautiful.
It's beautiful.
It's beautiful.
And it's not a transactional thing.
For sure.
It's like, wow, like you for the rest of your life are going to be blessed. You were blessed before.
Exactly.
But it's like just to be able to let the Lord use what we have, let the Lord use our gifts and talents to bless others. That's what it's about.
Exactly. And I think it's just something I keep kind of coming back to. I think sometimes we can put limits on ourselves. I think fear can get in the way, or even like being afraid of hearing the word no from someone. I think you don't look at the world in the way most people do. Like in the world where people see gatekeepers, I think you see open doors and open gates that you can get through all of these doors, and you have access and permission to do such. So talk a little bit about that and how people can really start to tap into that for their own selves and their own elevation.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a mindset thing. And I think it's a reset of the mind, because we have so many systems that work to isolate, so many systems that work to marginalize, so many systems that work to gatekeep. But to know that, to your point, to know that you can, to me, I don't really accept no, if you notice about me. So it's kind of funny because I'm not really a no person. It's like, no, okay. But actually, I think, I'm going to be like, can we spin the block this way? We're going to make a U-turn. Yes. If I got to take this little highway to wrap around.
Exactly.
How we going to get there?
Listen,
okay.
Exactly.
So I'm not really a no person. It's more of a, maybe just that's not the way that we can, proceed this route. But there's always another route.
Certainly.
And so I think for me, that's kind of the thing, is kind of, being able to take the limitations that people try to tell you, because if that's the case, neither of us would be where we are right now. If we went based off of what we saw in our neighborhoods, based off of the circumstances, based off of statistics, based off of the science of it all, we would have been condemned to essentially what they're telling us where we can't be and who we can't be.
Certainly.
And how we can't be.
Certainly. I agree. And you talked about mindset. What I think is important is to look at yourself a certain way. In order to look at yourself a certain way, I think there's some things that need to shift, whether it's leveling up because you're around friends that think a little differently than you, or are able to see the potential in you. What has allowed you to move with an executive mindset, and how would you define what that is?
I think what has allowed me to move an executive mindset is a kingdom mindset.
Yes.
And I think just setting my mind on the things above. Like I said, I always just felt like I could just, quite frankly, do anything. And I'm going to unequivocally say I can.
Yes.
The
word says we can. We can do all things through Christ.
So I'm like, okay.
Yes.
So if my homeboy, the Lord, is telling me I could do all this.
Yes.
Why are you telling me I can't?
Exactly.
You're just, you know what I'm saying?
And all things are possible. All things are possible. For people that need to hear it, all things are possible through Christ. There's no limits.
There's no limits. And so it is kind of, take the limits off.
Take the limits off.
Take the limits off. Take the limits off.
Enlarge my territory.
Come on. All right. Sorry. Look, we hit it. All right. Hold on. Let me get my little tea break too.
Just in case it's another song in our spirit.
Right. We got the little honey in there. But no, so I just think for me it was really taking the limits off my mindset and having a kingdom mindset to know that, Lord, you uniquely created me. Whatever you see fit for me, let your will be done in all areas of my life. But let me not act on something because of fear. Let me not act on something because of what people are gatekeeping. Let me not act on something because the system is telling me I can't, work that system. when it's like, wait, but my Lord created this system. My Lord has more dominion over this system.
Certainly.
So you just, like I said, it really is a mindset thing. And it's not a haughtiness. In fact, I think it's actually a humbleness to yield to the Lord and to let him guide you, because you'll find that he's able to move you through these doors that are unexpected. He's able to create these miracles on your behalf. He's able to give you that right connection. And it's like, oh, wow. You do all of this for me. You're such a good father.
Such a good father.
Such a great father.
Yes, I love that. I love that. I want to know, in closing, Carissa, what is exciting you right now? You just made this huge transition from the White House to Hollywood, baby, and you're doing it so well.
Thank you.
What's exciting you? What are your goals here and your mission here in Hollywood?
Well, it's a great question, and it's very timely because a year ago, me and Tasha sat here in LA together.
Yes.
Literally around this week. And so it's kind of funny to see how the Lord would move me here a couple of months later unexpectedly.
Listen.
But that brings me to my point of, I think I'm just most excited about to keep letting the Lord blow my mind. Keep honestly expecting the unexpected and keep being optimistic about all that he has in store for me. So I'm excited about this new territory. I'm excited about this new region. I'm excited about cultivating new relationships and building, better, building a better foundation with all those who I come into contact with. And quite frankly, continuing to be a representative of the kingdom wherever I go.
I love that. I love that. One thing we always close out Tea with Tasha. What's in your cup? So Carissa, it's a metaphor. I want to know actually, what are you drinking today?
Okay.
We had a proud partner, Starbucks in K-Town, was so kind to donate some Tivana coffee. So I love a local neighbor and a sponsor in that sense versus donor, if you will. So literally, what are you drinking? But metaphorically, what's in your cup? What's filling you up in this season?
What's filling me up in this season is contentment. And I think a contentment that just supersedes everything that's happening around me, a contentment that gives me rest at night, a contentment that allows for me to wake up with joy on the inside. I don't have all the answers, but I got contentment. I don't know what tomorrow going to look like, Natasha.
I love it.
But I got contentment with whatever is to come.
When you even said that, Carissa, I feel like my shoulders dropped. I got a little more peace in that moment. Thank you so much for joining me for Tea with Tasha. Again, this show is dedicated to trailblazers such as yourself, entrepreneurs and artists. You are all of the above.
Thank you.
So continue to be all God has created you to be. You're quite the artist, the fashionista, the creative director, the friend, the minister. So I am excited to see how God continues to use you in your life. Carissa Imani Joy Smith.
Thank you. Amen.
Thank you for
having me.
Thank you for joining Tea with Tasha. We'll see you next time.